Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalrin, and in today's video I've been hanging out on PTR, taking a look at things here and there, comparing PTR versus live game in order to see if there's any changes that you guys might have missed that you want to see on Wowhead or MMO Champion. One of the things I'm super excited about 8.1 is the different Azerite pieces of gear, and with the Alliance and Horde getting, needing to test a lot of Azerite gear, they added these guys back in. The power perfilators that both have one in Alliance and Horde, capital cities in Mungambala here, and where the Mythic Plus chest is going to be sold, or where you pick up your Mythic Plus gear from on the Alliance side. One of the advantages of this guy is so that you can actually go and check out 370 versions of each piece of gear. So every single set, every single bonus available can all be gotten at 370. It also functions in interesting ways with your Azerite necklace, as it doesn't actually require the level it says it requires. All of it requires level 1. So you can buy a piece of gear, let's say it's going to be this type of helm for 370, and you decide you want to test out some kind of a build. You pop it on, and you can just take full frontal and just apply all the different traits in a single go. Let's say you want to play some kind of a Deadshot build. You want to test out how good Deadshot is, and whatever. And I decided I'm going to take a look at some of the different traits. Maybe brand new traits are available. Maybe there's something new for Assassination and Subtlety and Outlaw. And while I was looking at different things, I noticed that they actually kind of hidden nerfed a trait of Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is a trait that I've been running for a while, and I made builds with it before. I've had many people try Snake Eyes and come back to me and tell me they really like it. The playstyle it offers for Outlaw, especially with how RNG we are, it kind of eliminates the idea of the RNG. Well, it still allows RNG to be present, but it doesn't really make it quite as heavy. What Snake Eyes usually does is allows you to roll the bones. Depending on how many common points you spend during roll the bones, empowers your next Sinister Strikes. So let's say you got a bad buff, at least your next few Sinister Strikes are gonna deal whopping extra damage. There's different versions of this playstyle with 1 buff, 2 buff, and 3 buff, with small variations, with 3 buff being probably one of the most complicated rotations I've ever played, but also one of the most fun rotations. I feel like it's the perfect and the model Azerite trait, at least for the Outlaw Rogue spec, that's not passive, not too boring, and actually changes up your rotation. You don't think of Roll the Bones as a, hey, let me just, see what kind of buffs I have, but rather you use them regularly in order to buff the damage of your other abilities, basically bypassing a lot of the RNG of, hey, I got a bad buff, I'm not going to deal damage, or hey, I got a good buff, now I can do all the damage in the world. It puts you kind of somewhere in the middle. So what I noticed is they actually hidden nerfed the Snake Eyes trait. Let's take a look at what the actual nerf is, and it doesn't make me happy at all, because I think it's just the worst way to break a trait. If you were gonna nerf a trait, why would you break it completely, is what I'm asking. But for each common point you spend on Roll the Bones, it causes you next 10 Sinister Strikes instead of 5, to deal 157, which is about half. So they took the extra damage a Sinister Strike would get and spread it out over 10 Sinister Strikes rather than over 5 Sinister Strikes. Now, you would think this is actually pretty good. The buff of its Snake Eyes still has a timer to it of 12 seconds. So you're given 12 seconds to get through 10 empowered Sinister Strikes. Well, you would think this is a good idea because, hey, more Sinister Strikes, I don't need to worry about rolling nearly as much anymore. The playstyle of Roll the Bones or Snake Eyes is going to be different depending if you're a Slice and Dice or Roll the Bones. If you want to do serious damage as an Outlaw Rogue, you want to play Roll the Bones, but that comes with some stipulations. When you're playing with Snake Eyes as a trait, what you first want to do is build for full common points and then roll. And then you want to go and build common points with Sinister Strikes and Pistol Shots, and use finishers when you're about 5 or 6 common points in, and then you want to basically spend all of your Sinister Strikes, build up to 6 common points. Sometimes you're able to get through all your buffs and kind of just like use up all of your Sinister Strike buffs and cap out at 6 common points without overcapping or undercapping, overusing buffs or underusing buffs. Sometimes it just works depending on the Pistol Shot procs and the buffs that you get. So by changing this trait from 5 Sinister Strikes for you to get within 12 seconds to 10, it breaks the rotation and makes it impossible. By nerfing this trait to basically by half per Sinister Strike, you're making it, I feel like, just weaker. It's just, I don't know if it's going to be viable. So let me show you what the rotation is going to look like, and I'll just kind of try to commentate. So I'm going to build for full common points. I got pretty good. I'm going to use Blade Rush and Roll the Bones. Hey, I got a decent buff. I'm going to keep Sinister Striking. Almost full common points. I better use them all. Sinister Strike. Almost full common points. I better use them all. This is about the time where it would go, and hey, I have still 5 extra Sinister Strikes that didn't deal as much damage as I want them to. Oh hey, okay, reroll, it's true bearing, not the best trait. Let's try to go for 10 for full 6 comp points since I'm deeper strat. Let's get our energy regen with our blade dance. Oh hey, 12 seconds wasn't enough for me to get any kind of buffs. So now your stun strikes don't hit nearly as hard as you would want them to. Let's go continue stun strikes. Oh hey, we got enough buffs. Pistol shot because it's available. We're gonna get a stun strike in. I still had 6 more charges. So generally I'm playing basically the same playstyle. Blizzard just basically curbed my sinister strike damage by half, or the bonus damage that I would get from my Snake Eyes buff by half. There's no way, if you're playing this properly, with 1 stack of Snake Eyes, 2 stack of Snake Eyes, 3 stack of Snake Eyes, there's no way that you're gonna get through all 10 of these. I can pop a Adrenaline Rush, and that's the only time I might even be able to, but even then I might not even come close. Let's just try it for ourselves. See if I can get through all 10 of them. We're gonna get ourselves an opener, build full comp points, pop a Adrenaline Rush. Okay, Sinister Strike, full comp points, nice. So I'm basically trying to play up to the normal playstyle. And I guess I should re-roll because I'm out of charges. So that's during Adrenaline Rush. I'm actually kind of am sort of able to get through my abilities. But right now, my damage I'm doing though is a lot lower than I normally would get because of this trait. Oh, hey, we got 2 more charges. Okay. So I'm basically getting more run-throughs, more finishers with this type of playstyle. My Sinister Strikes though are just doing less damage. Oh, hey, I had 5 more to go. I'm out of Adrenaline Rush. Sinister Strike. Let's Sinister Strike again. Finisher. Sinister Strike. Sinister Strike, but I have to re-roll. I have 6 more charges, 5 more charges, but I'm running out of the buff. It doesn't last nearly long enough, not as long as I would have wanted to. Get it between the eyes. ASAP, you see procced. I got my pistol shot in there. Oh hey, I should probably re-roll because I only get to use, unless I'm using a drone rush, I'm not getting the use of all of my Sinister Strikes. How are we supposed to play with this trait then? That's my question. Are we even supposed to play with this trait? I don't know if we're supposed to play with this trait anymore. Even 1 stack of this trait, 2 stack, 3 stack, the only way I can think of how to play with this trait properly or optimally is, you know how? Going back to the 2-button slice and dice build. Let's try it. This is the first time I'm trying it. I tried it before just to see what kind of damage I can put out. We are going to downgrade our item level to triple Snake Eyes build to see what kind of damage we can do. That is the purpose of this. Okay, what do I need for Snake Eyes again? I need a dagger that has haste. This is decent. This is okay. I need to change my talents to Slice and Dice, Killing Spree, Weapon Master, Vigor. Okay, let's try this whole Slice and Dice thing. I'm gonna open up with a ambush. Let's spend Sinister Strikes full into the target, Killing Spree, Adrenaline Rush, full Slice and Dice, and then just Sinister Strike spam until we are out of charges, and then Slice and Dice. Ready? I'm gonna spend all our energy, completely spend it. Spent. Okay, cool. We're gonna pop a Drone Rush and just Sinister Strike until all our charges are off. Oh hey, now we're able to get through all 10. With plenty of time to spare sometimes. That's Adrenaline Rush. Let's see how much it slows down after Adrenaline Rush is up. Okay, very much slowed down. Still 5 seconds. Hey, 2 charges, we can get through those. It's okay, perfect. We actually had a proc at the end. So Sinister Strike. We got a proc there. We have 6 seconds to still burn through it. If we get enough procs, maybe we'll be able to do it. Okay, again, I'm spending every global I can into Sinister Strike. Whenever my energy allows me. And then Slice and Dice if I don't have the buff. We get a proc there. Maybe we'll get another proc. Yeah, we got a proc. We got the most value out of this trait. Woo. More Sinister Strikes. More Sinister Strikes. Hey, we're almost going for 5 for 5, 3 for 3, 2 for 2. Hey, one more. Yeah, perfect. We used all of them. Back to Sinister Strikes. And more Sinister Strikes. This is the only time I've been able to actually get all the charges through. All, what, 10 charges? Or at least use as many of them as possible. And it's with this Slice and Dice weird playstyle. How much damage are the Sinister Strikes getting? With 3 Snake Eyes stacks. This is triple stacked Snake Eyes. About 2,000 extra. Which is finally making it feel like it's kind of a decent damage numbers. But this is me with triple stacking it. And the numbers I'm getting would be equal to what I'm getting single stacking. Or maybe even double stacking. Maybe I'm being, maybe I'm undershooting it a little. Yeah, so overall, I don't like this, man. I don't like this, because it basically breaks the trait, and Blizzard stated themselves in patch 8.1, they want to take away traits that are boring, that are passive, that don't affect your gameplay, that don't really do anything for you. Traits that are supposed to be like, for example, the trade winds. Just gives you mastery at random and can pass on to somebody else. Or stuff like Razan. Randomly a raptor will appear and just bleed up your enemy. Or stuff like, well, this one actually, Secrets of the Deep, you actually have to move to pick up the orbs. That one actually is kind of retaliatory, just gives you randomly mastery. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Turtle Surge, sometimes some water will splash into the enemy for frost damage and slow him down a little. That's literally it. That is literally all, those are the boring ones. Snake Eyes, on the other hand, actually changes the playstyle. There's a different rotation between 1 buff, 2 buff, 3 buff. It's actually pretty complex and made Outlaw Rogue like play like you basically, if you're triple stacking, you're playing the Maniac build. It's super immersive. Like if you're playing fights where there's a lot of mobility and a lot of ad switching, it's hard to keep track between the buffs. Not only you keep a track of what buffs you get, like what buffs roll the bones, also you keep a track of the buff that you have, the 12-second buff for Snake Eyes, trying to expand your cooldowns the best possible, trying to make sure that you're using finishers so you don't overcap or undercap on energy. It's not exactly like the slice and dice like 2-button build. You just won't work. The better version of this build is with Roll the Bones, where you actually go and use your finishers while trying to get yourself buffs in order to buff your Sinister Strikes. So it doesn't become a game what buffs you get, or rather, hey, manage this one buff, which can sometimes, in some cases, in some fights, be a lot more hard, just a lot more difficult, far more difficult. And the only buffs you don't re-roll for, and that means you, with triple stack, you don't re-roll for anything but a 5 buff. Like I've simmed it so many times, and the best numbers are reroll for everything but a 5 buff. If you get a 5 buff, keep it. That's where you get to get mind numbing with your rotation, but it actually changes your stuff. There's so many traits that so Blizzard said they want to, because I'm getting off topic here, they said they want to take out a lot of the boring traits. They want to add brand new traits, nothing that we can really test right now on PTR. I don't know where these traits are at. I don't know when they'll come in, hopefully sometime soon. But this is not one of these traits that I thought needed a nerf. And if you're going to nerf it like this, just nerf the actual damage of the Sinister Strike. Don't give it that whole 10 Sinister Strikes deal half damage. Unless this is a bug, this is a huge nerf for the trait. There's so many people that actually use Snake Eyes trait. It's actually kind of a fun trait if you're not happy with the mind-numbing playstyle of the original Outlaw Rogue that it is right now, where it's just like keep re-rolling until you get a good buff. Once you get a good buff, just dispatch and between the eyes and do your shenanigans, kid. This one actually does play up to the playstyle, and 1 buff doesn't mean the end of the world. It actually means that you still got damage. Depends on how you use your combo points and your energy and your finishers, and how often do you reroll. It actually changes the gameplay. So you're taking a buff that's or a trait that actually is a bit game changing. That makes you think a little bit, and you're just, I mean, they just break it. It's not really a nerf, they just kind of break it. You don't really use it. You get half the damage, and you get 10 Sinister Strikes, which you will never get through at all. There's no way you're going to get through all the Sinister Strikes unless you're running the 2-button slice and dice build. And I'm pretty sure Blizzard didn't want Outlaw Rogues to be literally 2-button slice and dice build. Anyway, I don't like this playstyle change. I don't like the nerf to Snake Eyes. I noticed that no one talked about it so far, so I felt like, as somebody who plays Outlaw literally every day, this kind of upset me, so I felt like making a video on. I don't really know what to think of it. I'm hoping this is just a tooltip error. I'm going to post it on forums as well, probably on PTR forums, to see if this is just an issue, or if this is intended nerf, and I guess we'll see on Wowhead and MMO Champion if this is just going to be on the tooltip very, very soon, as just the nerf that's coming to Snake Eyes. If that's the nerf that's coming to Snake Eyes, I mean, it doesn't really put us in that bad of a position, boys. We still have decent traits. Deadshot is still a good trait, even though it got nerfed before, it's still a damage increase. Ace Up Your Sleeve is also a decent trait, if I can ever find it. It's actually kind of a fun one. It's very passive, though. It's just as passive as every other trait, really. You won't be running any crazy traits. You'll basically just be running these passive traits. With Ace Up Your Sleeve, just run Deeper Strat, and your rotation doesn't really change all that much, just between the eyes and cooldown. So it's not really, you're going to be, basically Blizzard is taking away a trait and making it less viable in PTR as we are right now. This is like the only trait that actually changed our playstyle and made us think about a rotation, but I guess if Blizzard wants us to be kind of pruned and have these very passive playstyles for our characters, I guess that's fine. I'm not happy about it. The game, I feel like, is already pretty pruned already, and we don't need more prunes. Hell, if anything, we need more complexity in classes. But I think we need to take out most of these passive traits and just make some crazy traits that actually impact our gameplay, change our rotation. You know, what if we had a trait that, I don't know, capped our, somebody said something about dispatch getting capped out at 3 common points or something, but then it gives you a buff. Like if you stack the trait, dispatch can only deal damage worth 3 common points, but when you use it, it gives you a damage buff of some sort. So it's all about maintaining that damage buff instead, and then now you have more common points and some along those lines, and makes the rotation maybe spammy. I don't know, just random ideas getting thrown at me on stream. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments below. Sorry if this video sounded negative to you. I just, I care about the spec. I don't know. I didn't like this change, so I guess that's all I can say about it. Thank you for watching. I'll see all of you in the next one.